This is the future of aviation. We're screwed. In fact, here they tell us just when you thought flying couldn't get any worse. In fact, here they also share the following with us. Would you be willing to travel like this for 90% cheaper? Wow, for 90%! If this really made the ticket price much cheaper, much more affordable, then I would really think about it. Obviously, not for long flights, not for flights of 7 or 8 hours, no, for flights of 1 or 2 hours, short distance, short duration flights. And in fact, get used to it because a few months ago, another design for vertical seats was approved. Please stay tuned.
Starting in 2026, you'll be able to travel almost standing up on airplanes. The Skyrider 2.0 seats are the new innovation from Airlines.
Innovation. Do you realize how we're going backwards as a society? In everything, it seems like instead of moving forward, we're going backwards. It's incredible.
Not only that, these seats weigh 50% less than regular ones. The goal of these innovative seats is to increase passenger capacity on airplanes. Thanks to these new seats, it would increase by 20%, making passengers sit almost upright. The seats have a seat similar to that of bicycles. Apparently, low-cost airlines will implement these seats. This comes after this model, called Skyrider 2.0, passed safety evaluations in the United Kingdom.
Here's the detail, and in fact, this point is very important. Look, the idea of vertical seats or standing on a plane is not a new concept. In fact, I remember that the chief executive officer of Ryanair, which is a very famous low-cost airline in Europe, extremely popular. The guy has been talking about this for several years now, at least since 2010. He had already been saying that he had the idea of putting in vertical seats to save even more on ticket prices, the price of the tickets. And notice that it hadn't been tried precisely because of a safety issue, because they didn't pass the safety tests. That's why, even though we had already heard about these ideas of vertical seats for quite a few years, they hadn't been implemented yet because they weren't safe. However, this is starting to change. They're already beginning to pass the tests. And that's why now we really need to pay close attention, because it's highly likely that very soon some airline will dare to install vertical seats. And I'm sure that the first airline to do it will be Ryanair.
These seats obviously are to increase the number of passengers and reduce costs for the airlines. Although for some people these seats might be very uncomfortable.
Why care about body positivity? They can just buy extra seats or fly business class. It's simple. That's the harsh reality. What do you want me to say?
But anyway, what do you think about these seats where you'd almost be standing? If the flight is short and cheap, honestly, I'd get on.
Of course. You know what the problem is? At first, a lot of people are going to reject this. A lot of people are going to oppose this idea. Many people will protest, demonstrate, and urge others not to buy tickets. But I'm sure the airlines are going to make these flights very cheap, extremely cheap, with a purpose. To make people consider it and say, well, if it's a 1 or 2 hour flight, maybe it's worth it. So there will be people who decide to buy the ticket, and little by little people will get used to it. I'm absolutely sure that's what's going to happen, that at first there will be a lot of social rejection, a lot of people will oppose it. We're even going to make videos on this channel making fun of it, laughing about it, but sooner or later it will be inevitable, and it will be something that will end up being implemented and accepted by the rest of society. I'm certain that's what's going to happen, and the airlines know it. They realize people will eventually accept this. And now that they're already passing the security test, oh, it's the end. I mean, it's just a matter of time. I'm telling you honestly, it's just a matter of time before this happens. This person says, I'll give more context, read it and decide for yourself. Pros and cons of passengers traveling standing up on airplanes. That idea isn't new. Ryanair seriously proposed it around the year 2010 and 2012 with the famous vertical seats. Even the Chinese company Spring Airlines studied it, as well as an Italian company. Let's look at the pros. The advantages: more capacity and cheaper tickets. You could fit 20-50% more passengers in the same cabin, depending on the design. Ryanair talked about adding between 40 to 50 passengers on a Boeing 737, which is a narrow-body, single-aisle aircraft. And basically they're telling us that this would create a new category called ultra-low-cost. Incredible! Shorter flights, same thing, fewer problems on routes of 1 to 2 hours, the typical low-cost flights in Europe. A lot of people would put up with it just fine to pay between 10 to 20 euros instead of 80 to 100 euros. Hey, if you reduce a ticket price from 80 to 10 euros, honestly, I would put up with it, really. I mean, you're drastically reducing the price of the ticket. I think in that sense, it could be worth it, as long as the distance is very short. Less weight per passenger, a vertical seat weighs between 5 to 8 kilos compared to the 12 to 18 kilos that a normal seat weighs. I mean, just imagine, it even reduces the weight. That's interesting because less fuel will be used. Amazing. Quicker ground turnaround. People get in and out faster without having to sit down and unbuckle, which reduces transfer times. Very true too. Especially for low-cost airlines, the process of boarding and exiting the plane will be much faster. Cons. Well, one of the cons was safety during turbulence, takeoff and landing. But that's already been solved in the latest versions. That's the thing, the cons. All the problems that these models, these designs had before have already been solved. That's why I tell you, be careful. Now we really are on the verge of soon starting to see vertical seats. That's inevitable. It's going to end up happening, and all that's left is for an airline to dare to do it. And some say that this very year, 2026, next year, this trend is going to start. So be careful. We'll see. We'll see if they dare. To all this, there are people who respond with the following. You pay more for less. This is what they took from us. And they share this here. The experience of old flights, those flights from the 70s, where they treated you like a king, where flying was a luxury. Absolutely. Just look at all this. So luxurious. Ultra fine food, super comfortable seats. But there's something very important that a lot of people don't take into account or consider. And that was the price of plane tickets back then. Flying was extremely expensive. It was extremely inaccessible. In fact, thanks to low-cost airlines, many people were able to start flying. One of the world's most famous airlines has this slogan, "Now everyone can fly. Now everyone can fly. Now anyone can fly." AirAsia, a very famous, very popular low-cost airline in Asia. In fact, I usually fly quite a lot with AirAsia. And just so you get an idea, a flight to Singapore cost me about $35 approximately. Honestly, it's crazy. It's incredible how extremely cheap it is. What low-cost airlines have made possible is that now flying is extremely accessible, to the point that many people can travel, visit other countries, and experience other cultures. Previously, only a select few could afford this. And listen, if you want to have that luxury in aviation, to get on a plane and have amazing seats and restaurant quality food, it's possible. You can have it, you just have to pay a lot more. I'm going to show you some examples of ultra mega first class seats. Here's one from Singapore Airlines. Pay attention.
Did you know that this is the only first class in the world with a real double bed? These are the suites of the Singapore Airlines A380. And I enjoyed them with Oscar for 8 hours this spring, flying from Europe to the United States. Without a doubt, my best flight of 2022. I mean, this is truly luxurious. The suite has a wall that comes down so you can sit with your partner in what can only be described as a living room. At 35,000 feet, Singaporeans are some of our favorite people, and Singlish is our favorite form of English. So being taken care of by the award-winning SQ team is a delight. When it's time to sleep, the crew sets up the double bed, where you can watch television or even eat with these amazing stands. If you have a special occasion and want to treat yourself and someone special, this is tough to beat.
You can't deny that was incredible. That was crazy. Well, hold on, because the next one is also impressive. It's a private suite which has its own private bathroom and private bedroom, and it's from Etihad. The well-known United Arab Emirates airline, a sponsor of Manchester City, offers this suite called the Residence because it's a residence in the air.
And right here at the front of first class is the Residence. So the Residence is an exclusive product. As you can see, it has space for 2 people, plenty of room to relax here and enjoy some meals. But where it really gets exciting is here in the back. Yes, that's your personal bed in the sky, super quiet. Look at that, really beautiful. A lovely room for two here in the bed. Super comfortable. And then actually you can close the door and go to sleep. When it's time to freshen up, you have a private bathroom with your own shower right there. Incredible.
Obviously, those seats are extremely expensive. They're inaccessible for the average person. However, did you know there's a Japanese airline called Zip Airlines, which is very cheap? They offer you a business class seat that's also low cost. Yes, low cost business class. You can be in a seat that looks luxurious, almost at absurdly low prices. Ridiculous compared to what a luxury seat usually costs. We're talking about being able to take a flight from Los Angeles to Tokyo, Japan for $600 in a business class seat.
Is it worth it? Here's my honest review of the budget airline ZIPAIR. I spent 7 hours on ZIPAIR's lie flat seats for $600 and it was totally worth it. There was ample legroom and a fully reclining seat. And also these windows were awesome. They had some buttons to dim the light. I don't know. I'd never seen them before. I had to pay in advance for this amenity kit, which included a blanket, a pillow, and all the other things you can see here in this little clip. I have to say that the sleep mask was really good. I also paid for the food in advance. You can order the food beforehand or do it while you're on the flight, like online from your phone. It's actually very easy, but you have to pay for everything. Nothing comes for free like in all the other fancier airlines, you know. After that, it was time to get some rest. I watched television on my iPad. Everything was downloaded beforehand. The Wi-Fi isn't going to be strong enough for you to stream anything. And then it was time to sleep. I slept for a couple of hours, and by the time I woke up, we had already landed in Thailand. So is it worth it? Yes, 1,000%, especially if you prioritize sleep over, you know, free food, etc.
But just so you know, not all is lost, ladies and gentlemen. I'd really like to hear your thoughts and opinions on this. Would you guys go in those standing seats? Would you stand on a plane? I would really love to read your comments in the comment section. See you next time.